When you're combining pieces of clay, there are a couple things that you need to remember to do. First of all, you need to make sure that you have slip, which is just clay and water, so it's more liquid clay than anything, and the slip is going to act as glue. You're also going to need a couple other tools. You'll want one of your finishing tools or your needle tool, either one. And you're probably going to want one of our wooden modeling tools. So what you're going to do is add your clay and figure out where you want to attach it. So if I want to attach this clay right in the middle, the first thing that you want to do is figure out where that's attached and kind of just mark it on the lower piece so that you know where you're going to attach this bottom part to. Then you have to do something called scoring. Scoring is just roughing up the two areas that are going to be attached. So you need to make that nice and rough, and you can use this tool, you can use the needle tool, it's up to you. So once you've got these rough, at this point you can take your slip and you're going to add it to that area. Make sure it's nice and roughed up. And then you're going to press the two areas together and kind of wiggle it back and forth until it stops moving. So you're going to notice that some of the slip has kind of seeped out, and that's okay. But the next thing that you need to do is you can either take your finger or the wooden tool, and you're actually going to, I'll move that back so you can see it, sort of press into the clay and pull it down. So I'm going to tilt this up so you can see it a little bit better. So I have pressed into the clay and I've pulled it down onto the base. And I'm going to do that all the way around. So here I have taken the clay and I've smoothed it down, and you're going to notice that it looks like I took quite a bit of clay from right here. So what you're going to want to do anytime you attach anything is to take some extra clay and roll it into a coil. And you're going to attach this all the way around. Now, you don't have to use a coil quite this large. You can make skinnier ones. It depends on what you're attaching. And now that you've attached that extra support coil, you're going to go ahead and, again, either use this tool or your finger to smooth that in. Smooth part of it up onto this piece and part down onto the other piece. So once you're finished attaching the clay, you're going to notice that it looks kind of rough around here, but we have filled in those extra areas that we first took away. So then you're going to use your finger or a sponge or even a damp paintbrush to smooth that all in. Your goal is to make it look like these two pieces were never separated to begin with. So it's nice and smooth. There's no seams. It looks like it's all one solid piece. Now this needs to be done anytime you're attaching any clay together. I don't care what you're attaching together. You always need to score, you need to slip, then you need to add your extra support coil. Now let's pretend we also wanted to add this piece onto this side here. All right, so we'd want to be doing the same exact thing. So we'd want to figure out where this attaches to. Just kind of draw your lines so you know where it's going to attach to. You want to rough it up, so we're going to score it. Then you're going to add slip. And then you're going to wiggle that back and forth until you feel it start to stick. And now at this point, you're not done. You still have to add that support coil. You still have to smooth this down. So we'll spin this around. So I'm going to hold this wall up here, and I'm going to go ahead and start smearing these two together. So you're always dragging clay from one onto the other. And again, it's going to look rough, and that's okay because you're going to come back in and smooth it out later. To get into these really tiny areas, that's where it starts getting a little bit tough sometimes. So you might need to use a different part of a tool just to get back in there. Get in there as much as you can. And now you're ready for your support coil. Now for something like this, the support coil doesn't have to be all that large, but it does need to be big enough that it's going to help attach everything. So again, we've got a tiny little coil. We're going to smear part of it up. And the other part down. And as you can tell, makes it a little rough. So we're going to come back in. We're going to clean that up. And then you're going to want to add extra clay back here too. And back there you may want to use something that's relatively thin. You don't need anything crazy. You can come back in with this tool. You can even use smaller tools to smooth everything out, such as paintbrushes. Being able to smooth everything not only helps with a much better connection, but in the end your craftsmanship is going to be that much better.